Was the mask created for Tutankhamun or for someone else?
Are coming out, not just because objects are being examined in detail, but also because new technologies can be applied to them.
For more than 3,300 years, King Tutankhamun's golden mask has stared back at the world, perfect, silent, and untouchable. Millions have seen it, thousands have studied it, and everyone assumed its secrets were already known. Until now. In a breakthrough that sounds like science fiction, researchers recently turned quantum imaging on one of the most famous artifacts ever created. Not X-rays, not scans we've used before. Something far more precise, able to see beneath the gold without removing a single fragment. What appeared wasn't damage, it wasn't decay, it was structure, patterns. Subtle anomalies no one expected to find inside a funerary mask, believed to be purely ceremonial. Before we show you what forced historians to rethink everything, take a second to like and subscribe, because discoveries like this are rewriting history in real time. Because what quantum imaging revealed doesn't just change how we see the mask, it changes how we see King Tut himself. Something didn't look right. When Howard Carter discovered King Tut's tomb back in 1922, the world went absolutely crazy. Inside were treasures beyond imagination. Golden chariots, stunning jewelry, beautiful statues, and furniture fit for a king. But the real showstopper was waiting in the final coffin, the golden death mask. This thing is absolutely incredible. It stands about 21 inches tall and weighs over 22 pounds. That's heavier than a bowling ball, except this one is made entirely of solid gold. It's decorated with beautiful blue stones called lapis lazuli and bright turquoise that catches the light like water. To the ancient Egyptians, this wasn't just a pretty face. It was serious business. They believed gold was literally the flesh of their gods. The mask had one job: protect the mummy and help the pharaoh's soul find its body in the afterlife. Without it, his spirit could wander forever, lost and confused. On the back, they even carved magical spells from their sacred texts to keep him safe. For years, everyone looked at this mask and saw perfection, the ultimate example of what ancient Egypt could do. But here's the thing. Right from the start, some experts noticed weird stuff that didn't make sense. And the weirdest part? All the clues were right there in the open. Let's start with the time problem. King Tut died suddenly when he was about 19 years old. Most experts think he broke his leg badly, it got infected, and that was it. Now, according to Egyptian religious rules, they had exactly 70 days to prepare everything for the burial. Just think about that for a second. In 70 days, they had to dig out a tomb, paint the walls, build 3 fancy coffins, gather thousands of treasures, and create this massive gold mask. It sounds pretty much impossible, right? And the tomb itself? Total rush job. It was tiny, way smaller than tombs of other pharaohs. Some of the wall paintings looked half-finished, like the artist just dropped everything and ran. Even the huge stone box that held the coffins had chips and cracks on the corners, like workers had to literally force it through the doorway because it didn't fit. So researchers started looking more carefully at all the stuff buried with Tut. Here's where it gets really interesting. A lot of it didn't seem to be made for him at all. They found statues that looked like different people. They found jewelry that seemed designed for a woman. Then they took another hard look at the mask itself. The biggest red flag? The ears. The mask has pierced ears, holes for earrings. In ancient Egypt, only kids and women wore earrings. An adult male pharaoh would never be shown with pierced ears on his burial mask. It broke all the rules. Some experts also pointed out that the face looked kind of delicate and feminine. Even the gold color seemed a bit different. The face had a slightly warmer, redder tone than the headdress around it. So people started asking a pretty wild question. What if this mask wasn't even made for King Tut? What if the priests were freaking out about that 70-day deadline, grabbed a mask that was already made for someone else, changed it really quickly, and just stuck it on Tut's mummy? Which led to the obvious next question. If it wasn't Tut's mask, whose was it? Everyone's attention turned to one of history's most mysterious women, Queen Nefertiti. She was Tut's stepmother and one of the most powerful people in Egypt. But after her husband died, she just vanished from all the records, completely disappeared. Some historians think she actually became pharaoh herself, just under a different name. What if this mask was made for her? That would explain the pierced ears and the softer features perfectly. For decades, this was the big debate in Egyptian archaeology. Was the world's most famous artifact specially made for Tut, or was it basically a hand-me-down? But it stayed just a theory. Then X-ray technology came along and seemed to solve everything. The beard disaster. For most of the 1900s, the Nefertiti theory was exciting to talk about, but there was no way to prove it. You'd have to damage the mask to really test it, and nobody was going to let that happen. So the mask sat safely behind glass in Cairo's Egyptian Museum, seen by millions of people every year, keeping its secrets. Then 2014 happened, and it was bad. During a regular cleaning, someone accidentally broke off the mask's long braided beard. This wasn't just any decoration. It was a symbol of godly power. The museum workers panicked. Instead of calling experts who knew how to fix ancient artifacts, they tried to do it themselves. And they used the worst thing you can imagine: epoxy glue. That's the super strong industrial glue you'd use to fix a leaky pipe or a broken car part. They slapped it on thick, stuck the beard back, and hoped nobody would notice. Everyone noticed. It gets worse. They got glue smeared all over the golden chin. This treasure survived for over 3,300 years without a scratch, and it got damaged by regular hardware store glue. People around the world were furious. The Egyptian government had to step in fast. They investigated what happened and brought in a team of the world's best conservation experts, led by a German specialist named Christian Ekman. His job was to fix the mess and save the mask. But Ekman saw a silver lining. While he had the mask opened up to fix the beard, he finally had permission to study it in ways nobody ever could before. Maybe he could answer the Nefertiti question once and for all. His team didn't just use regular X-rays. They used something much more advanced called X-ray fluorescence, or XRF. Basically, it shoots X-rays at the gold, which makes the atoms light up and tell you exactly what they're made of. It's like reading the gold's fingerprint. Here's the idea. If someone had cut out Nefertiti's face and welded in a new one for Tut, the XRF scan would catch it. The gold would be slightly different. There'd be solder marks, tiny seams, some kind of proof. The team spent months scanning every inch of the mask. When the results came in, everyone in Egyptology breathed a huge sigh of relief. Ekman's answer was crystal clear. The mask was never altered. First, the gold. The XRF proved the gold in the face, and the gold in the headdress were a perfect match. Same exact source. That slight color difference people noticed? Just the way light hit it, or maybe an artistic choice by whoever made it. Second, the name. The hieroglyphs that spelled out Tutankhamun were original. No signs of another name being erased or covered up underneath. But the most convincing proof was the blue glass decorations. Ekman pointed out the delicate blue stripes around the eyes and on the headdress. Those are made of fragile glass that would instantly crack or melt if exposed to the crazy high heat needed for soldering. We're talking temperatures over 1,500 degrees. But the glass was absolutely perfect. Not a single crack. The conclusion seemed obvious. The mask was made as one complete piece, specifically for King Tut. What about those pierced ears? Ekman said it was probably just a style choice, or maybe a throwback to when Tut was a kid and wore earrings. Basically, science had solved the mystery. The Nefertiti theory was dead. Egypt's craftsmen were just that good. They really did make this incredible 22-pound masterpiece in just 70 days. Ekman's team carefully removed all the bad glue. Then, as a beautiful finishing touch, they reattached the beard using beeswax, the same natural glue the ancient Egyptians would have used thousands of years ago. The mask was whole again. Case closed. At least that's what everyone thought, until a brand new technology turned everything upside down. A new way to see after Ekman's report came out. That was it. The debate was over. Tour guides told the story. History books printed it. Documentaries featured it. The official word was, this mask was 100% made for Tutankhamun. But some researchers couldn't shake the feeling that something was still off. A small group of physicists and Egyptologists kept coming back to the same problems. The crazy short timeline, the tiny tomb, all that recycled stuff, and especially those pierced ears. Ekman's explanation that it was just a style felt weak, like a puzzle piece that doesn't quite fit. The problem wasn't Ekman's work. It was his tools. X-rays and XRF scanners are amazing, don't get me wrong. They're great at seeing different materials and finding cracks. But what if the ancient craftsmen were smarter than our machines? What if they plugged those ear holes with gold from the exact same batch? What if they hammered down the original name completely flat, then carved a new one without adding any new metal? What if they attached the face so perfectly that the seam was only a few atoms wide? X-rays would just see it all as one solid piece. They can't tell the story of what happened to the metal. They can't see if part of it was heated up and worked on multiple times while another part wasn't touched. To see that kind of detail, you'd need something way more powerful. And guess what? That technology had just been invented. It's called quantum resonance imaging, or QRI. Here's the simple version. Instead of just taking a picture, it shoots tiny quantum particles at an object. These particles bounce off individual atoms like sonar and come back with information. By reading these echoes, the machine builds a 3D map that shows not just what the material is, but its entire history. How many times it was heated, cooled, hammered, everything. It could, in theory, find a seam just a few atoms thick. A secret team funded by a private university, they called themselves Project Osiris, got permission from Egypt's government to do a new scan. This was supposed to just be a test. They weren't expecting to find anything big. They just wanted to prove their expensive new machine actually worked. In late 2024, after the Grand Egyptian Museum closed for the night, the team brought in their massive QRI scanner. They pointed it at the mask and let it run for hours. The only sound was the quiet hum of the machine as it scanned the gold, one atomic layer at a time. The team leader watched data stream across his laptop screen. Most of it matched what Ekman had found. Then the scanner focused on the cartouche, the oval shape that contained Tut's name. New images started appearing. The team leader dropped his coffee cup. The truth comes out. The quantum scan didn't just disagree with the X-ray findings. it completely shattered them. The Project Osiris team sat staring at their screens, realizing they were the first people in 3,300 years to see what really happened. Egyptology was about to be turned completely upside down. First discovery, the face. The quantum scan found what the team called thermal ghosting all around the edges where the face meets the headdress. This is a clear sign that the gold in that exact area had been heated to a different temperature than the rest of the headdress. Christian Ekman was right that soldering from the front would have cracked the glass. But the ancient craftsmen didn't solder from the front. They attached it from behind using a clever heating method that kept the front looking perfect. X-rays totally missed this, but the quantum scan saw it clear as day. The face had been cut out and replaced. Second discovery, the ears. This one was even more shocking. X-rays saw solid gold. The quantum scan found two perfect cylindrical plugs. The ancient workers had filled those pierced holes with gold rods made from the exact same batch of gold. Then they hammered and polished them so well that you couldn't see any seams at all. But the quantum scan picked up tiny differences in how the metal's grains were arranged. The ears had definitely been plugged. Third discovery, the name. This was the big one that made the whole team freak out. X-rays only saw Tutankhamun's name, but the quantum scan looked deeper and found something incredible. The gold where the name was carved had been hammered, flattened, and scraped in a way that the rest of the mask hadn't been. The original hieroglyphs had been completely destroyed. And here's the crazy part. The quantum scanner could do something nobody expected. By mapping out the microscopic traces left from the original carving, like the ghosts of the first inscription, the computer could actually reconstruct what used to be there. The team ran the program. Slowly, ancient hieroglyphs appeared on the screen. It wasn't Tutankhamun. The name was Nefertiti. This was the smoking gun. Nefertiti is the throne name that historians believe Queen Nefertiti used when she became pharaoh. The Nefertiti theory wasn't just true anymore, it was proven. The quantum scan showed the whole dramatic story. When King Tut died suddenly, there was no mask ready for him. His successor, a powerful man named A, probably took what should have been Tut's big fancy tomb for himself. Freaking out about the 70-day deadline, the priests grabbed the burial mask that had been made for the previous pharaoh, Nefertiti. They worked fast. They plugged her pierced ears. They made a new face, showing the boy king. They carefully cut out Nefertiti's face and attached Tut's from behind. Finally, they hammered her name until it was completely flat and carved his name over it. Today, the mask sits in the museum, where millions of people see it every year. But now, we know the real story. It makes you wonder what other mysteries we think we've solved are just waiting for the right technology to reveal the truth. What do you think about this discovery? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing secrets from history.